For years, we've seen patients, years and years, patients being sick from going in the water. So whether it's surfers, swimmers, our lifeguards, our Border Patrol, our Navy SEALs, we've always seen them, when they go in the water, they could get sick. We saw things like sinus infections, pneumonias, skin and soft tissue infections. But what's changed over the last few years is now we're seeing patients that are not going into the water. So when we get these big rain events and there's flooding, people then drive through, say, Hollister Street when there's big spills of sewage onto the street. Then they track that sewage water into our community. And so we see people with illness related to that. Now we're seeing people getting sick because of the strong smell, the hydrogen sulfide smell. So things like asthma, emphysema, COPD, those people, young people and the elderly actually have the hardest time with this. So they affect people's eyes, you get conjunctivitis from that bad smell. And so it's making people with breathing problems have a lot harder time. So and now it's not just related to going in the water, it's people outside the water in the community.
And as far as putting a specific number on it, I don't think anybody has a great number that they can tag on this because nobody's been watching, to be quite honest. I think it's kind of, I don't know if the proper word is indolent, but it's been laying in our community and it pops its head up every once in a while. So we'll see a large flow across the border. A lot of sewage will come in, and then we'll see a little bump in the cases of, let's say, diarrhea or the cases of reactive airway disease. And so it's just enough for us to notice it here in our clinic. We only see a few of the patients, right? There's patients who go to Kaiser, patients who go across the border for care, patients who go to other clinics. And so it's hard to bring all of that together into one place. And that's really why the health department's had such trouble with this, is because it's a long river. People are exposed all along the river. They seek care at many different places. So it's really hard to kind of pin down a specific number. But you can have GI illness, which is nausea, vomiting, diarrhea.
In addition, we also see skin and soft tissue infections. So if you're walking on the beach and you get a little cut in your skin, now we see bacteria that you normally don't see in cuts, things like E. coli. Those are bacteria that come from the gut, from sewage.
Yeah.
And so we're seeing infections that you normally wouldn't expect to see in cuts. So we see those, we see sinus infections, pneumonias.
E. coli sinus infection. Meningitis can be deadly, and it's possible to get all these infections from the sewage. Yeah. I mean, I think the problem is we haven't studied a lot of it. We don't know. Nobody was looking. And so we don't know, which is why it's great the CDC is coming in to help us out. We need something bigger than us to look at this and help us manage it.
Well, actually, our biggest concern is what is the long-term? What are the long-term effects of people being exposed to these? It's not just the sewage, it's the chemicals, it's the heavy metals. We're very concerned that 10, 20 years from now, we're going to see problems like leukemias, dementia, autoimmune disorders, Parkinson's, autoimmune disorders, because there's not just sewage. Sewage can make you get a pneumonia, it can make you get a skin infection, it can make you have trouble breathing or a sinus infection or intestinal problems. That we see quickly. But our bigger concern is this the next Flint, Michigan? Are we going to be seeing people that lived all along the river? There's hundreds of thousands of people that are exposed to this every day for years. Are they going to have long-term effects of this and illnesses? So that's our big concern. Well, it all depends on what illness you have. Like skin and soft tissue infections, they're called cellulitis or abscesses. You need to get seen. Mild diarrhea, mild nausea, vomiting that lasts just for a day or two, normally that gets better on its own.
Right. I mean, the solution is fix the sewage problem, right? And fix it in a permanent fix. There have been temporary fixes in the past, but then it just happens again and again. This has been going on for decades. We need somebody to have the political will to make this happen and to fix it forever so that we are not exposed tomorrow, we're not exposed 10 years, 100 years down the road. And again, I think that needs to come with political will and funding as well. A state of emergency is what we need on the federal level, but I'll be honest with you, I feel like it's being ignored on the state level. We haven't had much movement with Gavin at the federal level. They can make it happen. We need the funding and a permanent
The
fix.
state of emergency is absolutely what needs to be done.
Yeah.
We don't look at this as days or weeks or months or years to get this done. Every day this isn't done, it's another person getting sick, another person being exposed to sewage, being exposed to toxic chemicals, to heavy metals that can cause permanent health effects. Every day this waits, there's more people getting sick.
It's unacceptable.
It's not acceptable, and
Yeah.
we need a state of emergency to get this done now.
They were applauding last week because they have a 5-year timeline to rebuild the plant after a 20-month design process. That's way too long. How many people are going to get sick in that amount of time? That's just unacceptable. We need the federal government to come in here and say, we're working on it today, and we're going to work hard 24/7 until we get this fixed for you.